What do y'all believe should be valued more? Who you lose to, who you beat, your strength of schedule, or whether or not you are a conference champion? What you think ranks more, or how would you rank the four in terms of importance?
Give me that list one more time.
Uh, who you lose to, who you beat, strength of schedule, and whether or not you are a conference champion.
I say number one, if we're gonna accurately gauge it correctly, in my opinion, I think you have to lean on strength of schedule just from a broad overall view. How tough are your opponents on a regulatory basis? And then I believe a close follow up to that would be um, who are you beating? Who specifically are you beating? And then I believe the third important on that list is if you can win your conference championship, I believe it bodes well for the consistent competition that you had to go up against because those are the people that you play most, right? That's a majority of your schedule, interconference play. Um, and then I believe the fourth option, I'm gonna leave that as the, cliffhanger, who you lose to. But I think those three do cultivate the importance of, where you should be ranked in regards to the CFP and that viability into a national title.
How would you rank it, Black Keys?
Run it by me one more time. 'Cause I pretty much think I got it. I just want to make sure real quick.
Who you lose to, who you beat, strength of schedule, and whether or not you win your conference.
Strength of schedule, conference. Um, I'll say who you beat, but also who you lose to, but by how much.
Mm,
That would be the only thing with that. And I kind of would like, depending on the team, I would flip flop the last two because it depends. Like if you lose to Alabama, if you beat Alabama by three, Alabama lose to a team by three that's unranked. It's just like, okay, they got by one on you. Like maybe it was your schedule, maybe it was y'all were fatigued, maybe quarterback got injured, the game plan changed. Anything, any anomaly like that could have happened to where they won the game. And it's like you can't fault the team for like, okay, the game plan changed and they had the advantage or they figured out how to win. That's not technically football fair. So I would definitely say like that would be one of the main things because point example, Alabama they lost to Vanderbilt by one touchdown. Like yeah, they lost to Vanderbilt, but they didn't get smashed by Vanderbilt. At least to the end to 0-0. So that's just how I feel about it. That main one, actually, now that I think about it, yeah, no, just like that because the first two are very significant. You need your you need to be able to for number two, you need to be top rank in your conference. Like you can't just be any. That's number one. That makes sure that you're pulling the best team out of your conference. So that has to be one of the top things you need. Um, and I forgot the first one. I do apologize because I was so heavily on the first
Uh,
two.
who you lose to, who you beat, strength of schedule, and
Strength of
conference
schedule.
champion.
Strength of schedule definitely matters. I can't think of nobody but TCU and in the certain positions they were in and how they kind of like struggled all year about let us in, let us be number one, let us be number one. And once they got to Georgia, they got overly exposed and even to this day, their draft picks and their top players are semi struggling in the NFL. Like Quentin Johnston, his rookie year was horrible, and this year it's better, but it's if you would say it's nowhere near what it was supposed to be the way they promoted it. So strength of schedule, I think, means a lot as far as judging a team. And just like you guys been saying about Boise State, I think that's going to come to reality, whether people like it or not. As far as how Genty holds up and how that team holds up against a powerhouse team of any sort.
Yeah, man. For me, I think it matters who you beat first, your strength of schedule, um, and being able to evaluate your strength of schedule. Then we can consider, okay, well, you lost, but I mean, you got a pretty tough schedule. So like, who you lose to, excuse me, who you beat, your strength of schedule, who you lose to, and conference champions. I was just listening to a lot about, you know, the college football committee trying to maintain the integrity and the significance of conference championship games, solely because like I mean that's how these schools and these conferences like make their money at the end of the year with advertisements and so on and so forth, and people want to bid on the big SEC championship, the big ACC championship, Big Ten championship, and it's like if you start to not value it as much, it loses its luster and so on and so forth, and its popularity. But what significance should a conference championship have if you deem any particular conference any given year to be a weak conference? Do it really matter that you a champion of a trash conference, a subpar mediocre conference? And so I think but again, if you do away with the conference championships and its significance, then teams are like, do I really care to play in the championship? And then you got to deal with the politics of the money that's surrounded around the conference championship. Me personally, if just because your conference is trash and you just so happen to catch a rhythm at the right time and you came up on and you happen to win a conference championship, but you was really subpar mediocre all year, I don't think that should give you a bid into the college football playoffs, especially if you had a weak strength of schedule and you ain't beat nobody. You just stumbled your way to the conference championship. Um, so I'm not for trying to put the conference championship on like this high pedestal, because it's like with the conference championship, it's like they want it to matter if you win, but they don't want it to matter if you lose. And so it's just like, what are we doing with this conference championship here? And so yeah, like I don't like and I don't like the fact that a team could have a powder puff schedule all year and they just get the yellow brick road to the conference championship because like they didn't lose because they had a powder puff schedule. So yeah, for me, who you beat, you got to have some marquee wins. That matters in terms of trying to get into the playoffs to show us you're one of the elite teams that deserve to be competing for a championship. Uh, you may take a loss here, and like the strength of schedule that shows us that you're battle tested to a degree. So you are capable of competing with other top tier teams that are going to be in the playoffs. Who did you lose to? I mean, losing is just a part of the game. Should you be penalized for losing? No, not necessarily. You know what I'm saying? Again, like Darnell, you brought up the great point. Like, what is that point differential? Yeah, you lost. Did you lose by a field goal? Did you lose by a touchdown, last second play, Hail Mary, whatever the case might be? Or did you just get absolutely obliterated? Um, and you can't really evaluate some teams' losses because they ain't playing nobody. They not gonna have losses. But I personally feel like if you schedule in a weak ass schedule and it comes off from your athletic director, like y'all trying to duck the smoke, just hoping that y'all can sneak into the playoffs. If you're trying to duck the smoke, like you don't get to participate in inhaling the smoke once reaching towards the end of the season. You know what I'm saying?
The
So
hell in the smoke.
it's more like indo, more like out though. But that's how I feel about it. With like that's why I would rank strength of schedule high up on my list. But yeah, man. Yeah, yeah. Again, the selection for the